I was here, I went to freshman, sophomore, junior year at Verde Valley School. My name is Ann. Wainright Lowe is my married name, and my husband is here with me. Hamilton Warren came down. He told my folks, well, I don't know how my mother found, and Hamilton found my mother, but we were living in Lehman Cave National Monument. And mother had no, in Baker, Nevada, which was 7 miles away, we had no Baker High School. So people in all the ranches that were around in that area, they all had to send their kids either to Ely, and they would stay in a motel the week and then come home for high school. And that was 65 miles away. The other alternative was Milford, Utah, and that was about 100 miles away. And the other was Delta, Utah, another 100 miles away. And so Mom had no way to send me to any of those people because we weren't related to any of them. And so how she found Hamilton Warren or how they found each other, I really don't know, but maybe their daughter knows, I don't know, being that far back. Anyway, Mother thought that this school was just the ticket. I would learn a lot, and she wouldn't have to worry about where I was, you know, in Ely with somebody that she didn't know, or in a motel, or, you know, whatever all that was going to be. So Mom says, yeah, how much? And he told her how much the school cost per year. And then he happened to look around in the front room of our home that we were staying in, and there's a piano over in the corner. And Ham says, who plays the piano? Oh, Mom says, Ann does. She plays the piano. And he said, oh, could I hear her play something? And so Mom says, well, play such and so. I says, oh, okay. What he didn't know is all summer I had to practice 4 hours a day on the piano, and we had go once a week to Ely, where Mrs. Millard, who was a piano player and had a grand piano in her living room. And you learn to play a lot of music when you practice 4 hours a day in the summertime. Anyway, Ham heard me play, and I just went over, and Mom says, oh, play such and so, and I said, okay. And so I sat down and played the piano. He says, I think I can give her a scholarship. And that would considerably lessen the amount of money that it would cost for her to come. Oh, then Mom's really interested. When does school start? Because she knew how much Dad Wainwright got for being the superintendent there, et cetera, et cetera. They worked out a deal, whatever it was. And the next thing I know is they're trying to figure out a way to get me down here when come school time. Well, I had to go over to Panguitch, and Dad took me over through Utah, and because we were right near the Utah border, Lehman Cave was, and then he took me over to Panguitch, where I caught a bus that went down to Flagstaff. And from Flagstaff, Ham would be picking us up at the train depot where trains were coming in with students, and here's this lonely student from Panguitch. and so I had my trunk and my suitcase with me. We came down the old route before the speedway went down to Phoenix. And I think there was about 4 or 5 boys in the back of the truck, and it had it was a stake truck, you know. It held a lot of people, plus all the suitcases and trunks and stuff. Anyway, we're all hanging on for dear life because Ham knew how fast 25 was, but anyway, he went down pretty fast because driving it like he would be, I was hanging on for dear life as we were going around those curves. And so were the guys. Anyway, we made it safe. We made it safe. Sam knew how to drive and how fast he could go and still be able to talk about it. The scenery was, I don't know how to find a word, that I had never seen such reds, like Cathedral Rock. I thought, oh, look at that. And then where Madame Moser lived, and her house was in front of Napoleon's tomb. You know, and the differences and the things that I saw, and of course the dining room was there, you know, and you know, there wasn't very many buildings. I mean, the girls' dorm and the boys' dorm were set apart, and everything was just awesome. And that's what Mom and Dad said when they came. But when we went down to Mexico, the first trip, I was astounded. We went to 2 towns in Mexico, and we'd either had like so many months of Spanish, or you know, something like that. And but we would gather together as girls to a town, and 6 or 8 of us, you know, would go into a store or this or that. We went in groups, and so did the boys. And or sometimes they followed us into these towns, and we were always trying to see how much Spanish we could talk, you know, and not have English words in because of how much we had learned that time period. But it was so much fun. It was fun going on those Mexico trips. The second year, I think, we went down, and we were, I can't remember the name of this place, but we stopped at a roadside restaurant, and we went in and started ordering food, you know, and this one boy who was, I'm trying to remember he was a relative of one of the class that I was in, but younger, and he had come because his cousin or sister was there. And somebody said to him, as we're gathered around the table, remember, don't eat those hot so-and-sos, whatever it was. I can't remember what it was that we weren't supposed to eat because your mouth turned on fire. He says, oh, I'm not afraid of that. He reached over and grabbed a couple of whatever it was. all of a sudden his eyes lit up. And he tried to spit out what he had put in his mouth. And he says, "Oh, that's hot. We told you not to eat that." And he went speeding out the door and disappeared behind this cactus or something and started throwing up. It was too hot. And we said, "We told you," and everybody said, "We told you so, we told you so." He said, "Oh, I thought I could take hot stuff, but that's too hot." Well, we'd learned from being taught, and he learned from being obstinate and not listening. Memorize. Memorize, memorize, memorize. Well, and I had done a lot of memory work when I was on the piano, you know, and if they gave you a list of Spanish words, memorize them. You know, I mean, we're going to have, you're going to learn about these words or something, you know. Memorize. And it came naturally pretty soon to do what I had been taught to do, memorize. And I could, you know, a year, well, fast forward, when I was in college, I was taking Latin, and I memorized a lot of the Latin words, you know, and I thought, boy, that's coming in handy. And I loved all my teachers. I mean, Mr. Bret Harte was Mr. Bret Harte, and when he started teaching you about Egypt, boy, you sit on the edge of your chair and listen up. And it was so interesting how he was able to teach and how I could see it in my mind. Yeah, he had pictures, you know, of the pyramids and this and that and the other of Egypt, or this or that or the other. And the second year, we learned about another area of the world. And you better start memorizing a lot of this stuff that I was reading out of this book that was, you know, or if he had something to add. And he made it so interesting. Oh, he could have lived to be 300 years old and been interesting with the way he taught. And his wife was the nurse here, Mrs. Bret Harte, except we called her Kit, not Mr. Bret Harte. Anyway, it was just, it felt like home the second year when I came back. Well, yeah, I would play the piano, and I had to practice, and I can't remember his name, but he was on crutches, and his wife, and they lived in that house that's on one of these pictures where I'm playing the piano. And he took me down, can't remember the name, but he knew a concert pianist that was coming to Phoenix. And he got permission, and we went down to Phoenix to hear that man. I'd never heard a concert, really. And this guy had the place, and he just played the piano. Oh, I thought, oh, wow. Boy, that takes some practice, I'll bet, to learn all that music. It was just fantastic. And we even stayed down in Phoenix and visited with the man who was the piano player. And I couldn't believe it. Oh yes, Madame Moser, who was from, she was the language teacher here at school. And the first year, of course, we were learning Spanish. And the second year, I was learning Spanish too. And then the third year, I'd started French. Anyway, she made it come alive, like it was, the foreign language was part of me, you know, because there again, I'm memorizing and doing it more so than I had for just English. You know, I mean, yes, we had English class here, but she was so, you know, and she lived up in front of Napoleon's tomb in that house that's up there. And she just made it seem easy, you know, but there again, I was memorizing every word and how it's spelled in Spanish or French, whichever. One night, when we thought everybody was asleep, some of us girls were talking, let's go down by Oak Creek, walk down the road. It's too hot in the dorm. We'll walk down there, and well, the boys were doing the same thing, and we met up with them down the road, you know. I said, oh, we might best be heading back or something, you know, I mean, instead of, but we did go down by Oak Creek a ways and then came back as a group. And